Ellen Ashland goes into seclusion to heal after an attack leads her blind. Soon, though, she starts to feel paranoid and can't convince anyone that her attacker has come back to scare her by hiding in plain sight. At the beginning of the movie, a young girl is sad and all by herself. She then makes the choice to jump off the balcony of her apartment. Scenes change to show the same young woman named Helen a month earlier. One night, someone wearing a gas mask and pouring chemicals in her eyes beats her up badly in a parking lot. She is taken to the hospital right away. Soon, Omar, a nurse, comes to take off the bandages. As soon as the bandages come off, she learns she can't see. After that, a doctor named Katsuro comes into her room. He says that the poison she was exposed to burned, but did not damage her visual nerve. In plain English, the damage can't be fixed, and she is now totally blind. Ellen is upset and only slowly comes to terms with the fact that she will never see him again. Then, a police officer named Bryce comes and asks her about what happened. Detective Bryce asks her what she knows, and she tells him. A few minutes later, Ellen talks on the phone with her brother, who is in Tokyo. He tells her that he has set up a secret apartment close to the city center for her to live in, along with a guardian who helps people who are adjusting to their new lifestyles like her. The next morning, Ellen wakes up in her new flat and meets Clayton, who will look after her. Clayton says that it's because the drugs she's on are so strong that she doesn't remember the ride home from the hospital. Clayton tells her that he is a trained caregiver and will help Ellen with her daily tasks and help her adjust to being blind slowly. Every day at 11 a.m., he will go to her house and leave at 2 p.m. He also tells Ellen that she is now living in her new apartment on the 9th floor of the building and shows her how it is set up. Ellen tries to call her friend Sasha and her brother after Clayton leaves, but neither of them answers when she calls. She feels so alone because neither her family nor her friends are there for her during this hard time. The next day, Ellen sees that when she stands next to one of her windows, she can hear the noise from the busy street below, but when she stands next to another window, she can't hear anything. Clayton tells her that the glass is thicker there, so she won't hear anything. Then they both tell each other about their lives, and they slowly become close. Then Ellen asks Clayton if she can touch his face, and he says yes. That night, Ellen hears a woman crying while being hurt by someone, but it turned out that the crying sound came from the vent. The next day, she decides to call her neighbor for tea. She walks out into the hallway and puts a post-it note on the door of the apartment next door, asking the woman to join her for tea. That night, a woman named Lana comes to Ellen's house for tea by knocking on the door. She knows Ellen used to play the violin but lost her sight, but she acts strange. Even though she just met Ellen, she seems to know a lot about her. Ellen touches Lana's face and is surprised to feel a new scar there. Lana tells her that she shouldn't trust anyone. She quickly leaves the room. Ellen starts to believe that Lana's husband is hurting her physically. So Ellen goes to Detective Bryce and tells him that her neighbor's husband is hurting her. Officer Neiman is sent by Detective Bryce to talk to her friend and make sure that everything is okay. He finds out later that she is fine and that the scar was just a tattoo. The next day, when she wakes up, she sees something strange about the place. She tells Clayton that a car alarm goes off exactly every other day at 11 a.m., which is when Clayton comes to her house every day. The same time, the same car, and the same sound. Clayton doesn't care about the strange things and tells Ellen that it's a big city with lots of sounds. Ellen thinks Lana comes back into the flat later that night, but when she touches her shoulder, it's Lana's violent husband. He tells her to stop being crazy and leave his wife alone. Ellen feels scared, so she asks Clayton to come to her house right away. Clayton comes and makes her feel better. Clayton tells her at that time that he cares about her, but Ellen says she doesn't want a boyfriend right now because she needs a caregiver more than a lover. Clayton leaves the room because he is sad. As soon as Clayton leaves, the guy in the gas mask comes after her again. As the attacker puts a needle in Ellen's neck, she calls 911 before she passes out. Later, the rescuer tells her that she doesn't seem to be hurt and that there isn't a needle mark on her neck. When Detective Bryce comes in, he tells her that the CCTV also shows that Clayton is the only person who goes into the flat after him. When Ellen hears that, she feels upset and can no longer trust her own thoughts because she feels alone in her life and thinks someone is after her. Climb up to the rooftop fence and jump off. But Ellen doesn't die when she falls 6 feet. She is fine. She finds out quickly that she is in a room that blocks out noise, a room with no entrance. The sounds of the city are played through speakers in the room. A made-up city and a made-up high-rise. She quickly figures out that the apartment she was living in was fake and that all the noises she heard outside were coming from a sound system. She hears the car alarm go off at 11 a.m. and gets back into her apartment. After she gets back into her apartment, she checks out the hallway and finds that she can't get out. So she goes outside and knocks on Lana's door. Lana tells her that this is home and that she can't go anywhere else. Then Clayton comes to make Ellen's dinner. When they sit down to dinner, Clayton knocks twice on the table. Ellen knows this double tap knock and sees that everyone she's talked to since the attack has the same knock. Then she realizes that everyone she's met since waking up in the hospital was Clayton, including the nurse, the doctor, the police officer, the rescuer, and Lana's husband. Realizing this, she pretends to drop her drink and hits him on the head with the knife block. She takes his key and a taser right away and runs down the hall into the apartment next door. But it's actually a weird, empty storage room where Clayton keeps all his outfits and everything else he needs for this trick. Clayton has been pretending to be everyone else by wearing different clothes. Even more surprising, Ellen finds her attacker's outfit, which shows that Clayton was the one who attacked Ellen to make her blind, and then took her to this fake apartment to keep her captive. Then she finds Lana in a secret room. Lana is real. This is the fake hospital room where she was taken at the start of the movie. She tells Clayton that she is his sister and that she helped him take Ellen. Then she tells Ellen that the only way they can get out is through the secret vent in Clayton's room. Ellen is trying to get away, but Clayton catches up to her, knocks her out, and drags her into his room. Lana had already said that the only way out was through a vent in the wall in this room. Ellen feels the air coming out of the vent and realizes she still has a chance to get out. Clayton starts talking to himself about what he did after his mother died when he was a child. His father locked him and his sister Lana in the basement and kept them there for 3 years. Clayton had only been able to stay alive by making up people in his head, giving them backstories and acting like them. But the music that Lana played for them in the attic was what really saved him. Ellen, a child genius who played the violin, made the music he heard. He calls her his light in the darkness. Now he wanted to be the same for her. As he tells her his story and why he did what he did, Ellen sees an opportunity to knock him out with the taser. She opens the vent, but it's too small for her to crawl through. Ellen finds a small bottle of the same thing that made her go blind taped inside the vent. When Clayton comes back, she sprays the stuff in his eyes, making him go blind as well. Lana gets there as Clayton is writhing in pain. When she sees that Clayton is hurt, she lets Ellen out into the real world. 6 months later, an excited crowd can be heard as Ellen gets ready to go on stage. Thanks for watching. Click this video to enjoy another best movie explained in less time.